want to thank you for meeting with me again. Today the primary focus is our action plan. We talked about focusing on instruction, so that's what we're going to look at today.
Yes.
And now since our last meeting we had our PLC with the principal, and he shared some data about our winter walkthroughs that wasn't very positive. There were some issues, and a lot of it was due to, and let me look at my notes so I say this correctly, use of time in regard to bell-to-bell instruction, intellectual student engagement, and cognitively busy classrooms. So essentially what we're talking about, students should be doing the teaching and we should be facilitating. And that's kind of like what we were kind of saying before, so it kind of helped me with determining which model to share with you.
And that, I mean, that's the hard part to do, because just the managing the time and how much stuff to try to cover and how well the kids understand it. You know, the content is not so bad, it's just how much to try to fit into each day.
Right.
So the bell-to-bell activities is what gets hard.
Right, like that. And from different classes to different classes, you could be teaching 6 different math classes, but everyone on a different level, so I can relate to that. So, how do you feel your students are engaged in your classroom?
I think it varies from day to day. Most of them are engaged, maybe.
Well, if I just asked you to give me a percentage off the top of your head, because you know I kind of did some data, what do you think?
I like 85%.
Okay.
That's a good solid B. So.
That's a good solid B, yeah. And when I've been in your classrooms, they are pretty much engaged. There are times that they're not, but it varies.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about some of the data, and I'm going to review just, these are those data collection sheets, and when I was in there on the 14th, I literally, like I said, I go around and it's just, if they're engaged, you give them a plus, if they're not, a 0. And then you just do the percentage. And on the 14th at this time,
there's lots of zeros.
Well, you had 36 pluses and 24 zeros. So at that time it's 36 out of 60, which equals 60%. So, you know, it's, we're there, but we're not there. Now this one on the 17th, again, you had 34 pluses, 26 zeros. So we're still in the above, but we were about 57%.
Yeah.
When I was in there on the 19th, you can see it was 40 pluses, 20 zeros, 67%. Okay. Now keep in mind these are just
not 85%.
It's not. Well, okay, right. It's not 85%, but it's not. I'm not here sitting and saying, "Man, you're a bad teacher."
Yeah.
These are just some little things that we're showing. When I average this out, it's about 61%. So we're not quite at the 80, but that's kind of one of the reasons why we're here. So let me see. Talked about that. We talked about that. Talked about you thought they were 80. We kind of said you're kind of at 61%, but we need to kind of go on and try to move it up. So let me talk to you about. I've got some information about research. Now, researchers suggest and you've probably already heard this, that students should be engaged more than 90% of the class. Okay, so now
my goal wasn't quite enough either.
Well,
so.
but hey, and this is really, I mean, we're both in classrooms. We know what happens with all that stuff. But they found that the percentage of engagement relates to how much the student learning is taking place. So by doing things to increase engagement, we are increasing student learning, which is increasing student achievement. So that's what the research says.
Mastery. 90% is a lot.
Mm-hmm. So we probably don't want to. We're trying to do this goal, but probably not.
We're at 60% now.
Well, 61.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to do this, what do you think? If we're trying to do it by the end of the year, you've also got. Well, we know we've got map testing coming up, scrimmage testing, K-prep testing coming up. Now we haven't missed any this week, but you know we've had that pattern of not going to school. So. What would you think, we know 90% is what we want to get to, but from now to the end of the year, what would you think would be a more realistic number to shoot for from now to the end of the year, and then maybe do the 90% next year?
So it's 61.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of split the difference.
Okay.
70, 75?
All right, let's do 75. And I had a spot here where I wrote this down, and I'm going to plug in your 75. So here's what I wrote down. The 6th grade math students at GCMS will increase their intellectual classroom management or classroom engagement from 61, and you said 75, so we'll say to 75% by May 29, 2014. Right now, that's the last day of school. So, but essentially, then, does that sound like a workable goal?
Yeah.
Okay.
It needs to increase, definitely.
Right.
So, I mean, that should be a little bit more reasonable than expecting 9% all of a sudden.
Well, and keep in mind, it takes time. Even when the research says to get to 90%, there's things you've got to do. Now, one way you can do this is gradually have the students be responsible, engaged in the class, where they're doing more of the academic talking and working with each other. However, again, this does take time. One of the ways you can do this is through a research-based model that's called gradual release of responsibility. I know it's a big tongue twister word. A lot of people do, as a teacher, might do the I do part of it. Some teachers might do the we do. Other teachers might do the I do, the you do. And essentially what I'm saying, the I do, it's more of like the teacher might do part of the focused instruction and have the kid do the independent. Some teachers might do the focused instruction.
And that's what I do a lot of is, I do examples and get some kids to volunteer, and then here now it's your turn to do it.
And so you're doing that, and some people do the guided. A lot of people do the I do, we do, you do, which is the focused guided practice. But however, this model kind of takes it one step further, where it's a section called You All Do It. So let me just show you, give you a little bit of information. Some of the classroom, like we talked about, kind of like you mentioned it, focused instruction, I do it, then there's the independent, you do it. I've been in your classrooms where I know you've actually kind of did all three of these, because I know you've done the focused instruction when you did the I do it, you did the guided instruction where you're doing it together, but then the other part is you do it alone. So what they're saying in this gradual release model is taking it one step further.
Okay.
The I do it, which is the focused instruction, the we do it, basically the guided instruction, you're doing it with the students. Yeah. Now, you do it together, which is the new part, that's the collaborative part where they're going to be doing some stuff, and then you do it alone as the independent.
All right, so this is the one that I usually leave out.
So, and like I said,
together.
You're doing, you already do. You're doing 3 out of the 4.
Yeah.
This is the one where you're putting more of the responsibilities on them. So it's a process of showing them what to do, how to do, and things of that nature.
And that sounds good, putting more of the responsibility on them. I like that part of it, especially.
And it ties, like I said, this ties back to what they said in the walkthroughs about teachers becoming facilitators. Here's it's got a little graphic model of what a guided gradual release model. You would start out, teacher responsibility, doing to the guided instruction, which is the we do it, going on to the we do it together, which is the students working together, and then independent learning. Okay. So that's just kind of a little, and I'm throwing all this stuff out at you. I don't want to overwhelm you, but I'm trying to give you a tidbit of this information.
But yeah, this stuff to get the kids taking more responsibility instead of sometimes it seems like I do all the work and they sit back and
wait for all
relax. So getting them more in on some of the stuff to be accountable is sounds like a good idea.
Okay. This is a little pyramid. You might have seen it before, but all this talks about is a learning pyramid. It said the average retention after 24 hours. Lecture, 5%. Reading, 10%. Visual, 20%. And then it goes down towards the bottom. You see a discussion is 50%, practice by doing 75%, and teaching others is 90%. So this is a study that says that this is the way students learn best and retain more. So we want to try to get down towards the bottom, and that's why this kind of ties into that.
So I mean, even when you know it, being able to explain it to somebody else it puts it at a different level. Mm-hmm. So, because there's lots of kids that they know what they're doing, they just can't tell anybody else how to do it. So
exactly.
So
I know, like when I'm collaborating, sometimes I have to see someone to understand it and then teach it. So yes.
Okay. And, I'm really bad about when a student asks for help, and let me borrow your pencil a minute and I'll show you, instead of trying to explain it to them and them doing the writing. So I need to tone that back a little bit too. So.
But you're there wanting to help them, but this is another way you can give them a little more.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just trying to give you some of the information. This has a little bit of information on it. It talks about the gradual release model and some of the steps. So I'm going to give you a little bit of light reading. what I like about the back page is it talks about the responsibility, and it breaks it down of things that the teacher should be doing or looking for, and things that the kids should be looking for, the students in each of the sections.
Okay.
So it's just it's a little resource to get you going into some of those areas.
Right.
Now here's one of the biggest things that I have a challenge with in myself, is the gradual release responsibility. Again, you got the I do it, we do it, you all do it, you do it. But it's the time. And the I do it, teacher model and thinking, it's only 10% of the
Yeah,
classroom.
and see, I think I spend more of my time showing instead of letting them have more time doing it.
We do it together.
When I do it, I know that the answer is going to be right.
Exactly.
So.
And another, getting them to, doing the guided practice or whatever,
Yeah.
10%. You all do it, which is cooperative learning or whatever, is 50%.
So that's with a buddy.
Yeah.
So 50% of their time should be with a buddy.
It could be a buddy, or it could be
group.
a group or whatever. You could have a small group doing a jigsaw or something of that nature, but it's them teaching each other that kind of concept. And then the independent practice, 25%. And then at the end, you just do a reflection or whatever. So,
And I think my deal is when they're with a buddy or with a group, there's always going to be these groups where one person does it and everybody else is having a party. And so I tend to get away from that just because of just behavior management and all that kind of stuff. So, but maybe if I give them a chance to do it this way first instead of automatically not choosing that one.
But it's not only just giving them a chance. They've got to be, just like we're doing things as new leader and me here. We have to, there's steps, it's going to take time. They tell us we're not going to get it all done in the first year. This is a process where we're going to have to show them that, okay, you're going to have to do this, 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 and this. We're going to have to model these steps for them. That's why the research says for this step alone, it could take up to a year before the kids are doing it effectively. So again, definitely in the...
It'll be a long school year.
Well,
no.
well, we've only got a little bit left.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why not shooting for 90% between
Yeah.
now is not very realistic, but doing it for next year, shooting for that 75 and going forward.
Yeah.
But, and I will provide you some more information. There's some, I'm looking at some different things. There's all different things in this way of doing this collaborative or cooperative learning, the different things I can do, doing different parts of it essentially. But briefly, typically you got a 40-minute class period. If you think about it, okay, this might be 5 minutes, 20 minutes,
Yeah.
10 minutes. So it's kind of like you're like, whoa, I've really got to get them actively engaged and going and modeling, guiding it to get them to go to that process. Well, we know it's not going to go overnight, but this is how.
But still, if this is how they're going to understand it better,
right.
I kind of need to change my focus a little bit there.
And getting into that part of
Yeah.
it, and so.